Hello YouTube, Intuitive Edge here. I have the cards laid out today. I've been working on coming up with a new spread, a new way of putting the cards out with a flow of questions that leads to the culmination of the answer. I wanted to do have a kind of a new go-to spread. So I've been playing with this one. I've called this one the eye. And so the eye represents what we look at, how we see things. How we see things is what forms our worldview. If what we look at and how we see things is clouded, if our vision is obscured, then our worldview may become obscured as well. And we may be living under a worldview that is not in alignment with the truth of how things are, based on what we see, and what we see forms the opinions, and it kind of is like this vicious cycle. If you have this opinion that you're forming based on what you see, and then what you see reinforces your worldview, then your worldview is going to show you what you see, and it kind of continues in a cycle. So when I thought of this eye, looking through the eye, how can we see an issue that helps us to deconstruct a worldview that may not be the truth? It may not be accurate. Sometimes our eyes can deceive us. Sometimes we can see something and interpret it one way, and it's not actual truth. It's not really the way things are. If you see a couple arguing, and you don't know them, and you see them on the street and they're having an argument, you don't know, you're based on what you see, you think they're getting a divorce. But that may not be the truth of it. It's just how you're interpreting what you see. So I think there's a lot to be said for how our worldview can get corrupted, and how I believe there are elements of society that know how to manipulate and trick certain people, and they show them something, but they don't show them the whole picture. So they get this little tiny picture, and then the person showing this picture says, well, this is reality. And if the person doesn't look beyond that or question what they're looking at, they may assume, because they maybe trust this other person, that, okay, this is the truth. But maybe the truth is much bigger than what our perception is based on what we see. I did this spread a little bit ago, and I didn't want to reshuffle and do it again because I felt the cards were really interesting in the way they came out. So I'm going to go over this with the reading that I picked. And I looked at the State of the Union address when I laid this out. So what's going to be, what is this, the eye? What will help us get a better view of this State of the Union? What will help us maybe deconstruct worldviews that give us prejudices? For instance, I'll say this. If someone goes into the State of the Union address and they have this worldview that they hate the president, or that Donald Trump is a jerk, or that he's an awful, evil person, That's their worldview. And if they're not willing to listen to the speech or see what he's saying, they're going to look for things that will reinforce that worldview. They will look for things in the speech that they can say, they can point to and say, yeah, see, he's a racist. He said this or that. Yeah, see, that he just said that, you know, about, you know, illegals. They're, you know, he's against immigrants, or whatever their worldview is that tells them that Donald Trump is a horrible person. They're going to glom onto those pieces because that's what they're looking for. Now, what if our worldview, what if what we looked at was much bigger than just saving a cherished worldview, and we were able to see and look at something, information coming in? It's just information. It doesn't mean that if, for instance, say, take another person, say they listen to the speech tonight, and they have an open mind, and they listen. Doesn't mean that, you know, they now worship at the altar of Trump. It just means now they have the information that he was wanting to say, and they can use that to broaden their own worldview, so that the human tendency when we look at something, I'm thinking of this in terms of the eye again. When we look at something and we're really, really, really intent on looking at this one thing, we block the world out, right? We block everything else out because we're really intent, we're really focused. Say you're studying something or you're reading something that's important. You're really focused in on that. And we block the world out. Same thing when we're on our phones oftentimes, right? People are on the phone, they're walking around, they're really intent on their phone, and they trip over something and fall down because they're not paying attention to the greater picture. So here's what came up in the cards for the reading, for the State of the Union speech tonight. And I thought this was interesting, and I wanted to relate it to the eye because it's so important. How we view things is how we're going to construct our worldview. And it doesn't necessarily mean we're right, but we think we're right, and we want to protect that being right. And so we look for things that solidify and reinforce to us that we're right. But what if it's bigger than that? So, okay, all right. So the first card, we start over here. This is the eye. We're going this way, and then this is like the pupil. This is like the center of the eye. Okay. So we had the Four of Swords. I'll make sure everybody can see that. Okay. So we had the Four of Swords. This is the rest card. This is a card of being restful, taking a break, but it's reversed. So my thought with this card is that the speech tonight is going to not be restful. It's going to be full, jam-packed. There's going to be a lot. I felt this energy of the president has a lot to say. There's going to be a lot coming out, and it's going to be like boom, 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 boom. So if you're taking notes, you might have to write fast because it's going to be like moving quick. There's lots to say, and we're getting to it. And it may feel like, to some, that when he's done with his hour or however long it takes him, that holy cow, that went by and it felt like it went like that. Because there's so much that he's going to be saying. It's not going to be a speech where you get bored, okay? There's a lot to be said. Then so this is the issue. Then we have wisdom. Now, wisdom invites us to look, again, using the analogy of the eye, invites us to look, what would wisdom have us see? What would wisdom have us look at? And in this position, we have the Empress. She is a goddess figure. She is the mothering, nurturing, loving figure. What would wisdom have us see? And you have that card. Now, that might fly in the face of some people's worldview, because that's not what they're looking for in the speech tonight. They're looking for things that will reinforce their opinions and their thoughts and their perceptions. This is inviting us to look at the aspect of care, compassion, nurturing, love, beauty. Is that going to be on people's minds? Especially, if there are people that don't like Trump and they watch it tonight. This is inviting them to look at the aspect of nurture, care, okay? And it's related to what he's talking about. There is an aspect of care and concern and divine feminine energy of love and care and nurture in what he's saying. Okay, next. So what's coming into view? What is our eye telling us? What's coming into view? We have the Justice card reversed. Well, isn't that interesting? Justice card reversed, we've had that come up this week with all of the scandals breaking and the FBI, the second in command, Andrew McCabe, resigning, and lots going on, lots of changes. Corruption being exposed, the memo being released this week. What is coming into view? Injustice, things that have not been just, corruption. So that might be a real focus tonight, is injustice and corruption. So be looking for that. So what is fading from view? So when I laid this out and I saw the sun there, I went, what in the world? I mean, I literally had to take some time and just sit with this and meditate with it, because I didn't get it. I'm like, what is the sun doing in the position of fading from view? I didn't get it. So I sat with it and I finally understood what this is saying. With the way this spread is laid out, what we have coming into view is this. I like to think, and the card's flowing this way, I like to think of it as things move in a cycle, and at one time the sun was here, coming into view, shedding light, bringing into the open, showing us light, showing us things that we didn't see before, giving us light. She's done her work because this has been exposed. The beautiful sun, the light that gives us light and helps us see, has helped us uncover corruption. And she's done her work. It took me a while to get that, you guys. I had to sit here and until I realized this is like a cycle. It's a circle. It's everything coming around. This is the flow of it. At one time, the sun was here. And this is how the energy of this spread flows. So what would understanding, based on what we see, when we open our eyes, when we are willing to see beyond our little scope and our little worldview, understanding, this is the next card. What would understanding have us do? What would understanding have us do? This is a card of action and taking action. This is a Knight of Wands. Knights are messengers. Knights are about moving forward and taking action. So there may be some action that we need to take, maybe as a collective, as a nation, maybe individually. You may be feeling a push or a tug in your heart, in your gut, of something that you need to do. A way that you can bring light, because the energy of this is moving. Light is coming into this to give us, to show the way, to shed light on, the sun being next to this, shedding light on how to move forward, how to take action. At the very least, we should, I'm just saying, what I will be doing is pray. If you're a praying person, pray for those who are taking action, and pray for yourself that you will have the wisdom and have the broader worldview and help to stay focused on the bigger picture, not just the little minutia. Okay. Last card is the culmination. And this is a really interesting card. It's the Ten of Swords. It's kind of a ominous card. It's like, these swords are dipped in blood, and it's like kind of dark in the back, and it's like the end, the war is over. It's like done. It's over. Whatever you've been doing, it's done. It's over. What's nice about this card is that, yes, something might be done or over, but there's always a new beginning on the other side. It's darkest right before the dawn. There's always a dawn on the other side of a dark night. And that's what this is saying, that there may be some endings, some changes, some things that are maybe you feel like they're pushed upon us, making big changes. But this also gives us hope that there is a new beginning coming. There's a new dawn right around the corner. There's a new beginning. And that is the pupil of the eye. That is the focus, is on a new beginning. It's an ending and it's a new beginning. Now, how that all relates to Trump's speech tonight, I think that came out in the first card. But the overall state of our union, this is more than a speech by a president. This is our worldview and how we can create together. Even if you don't like the president, no matter what your politics are, this is how we can move forward, is by broadening our worldview, seeing what needs to be done, exposing corruption, and doing our part. Doing our part. Okay. All right, I'm going to leave it here. I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you for stopping by. I hope you're having a great day, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.